next musical, Matilda, is a fairly recent one. This is from 2010. The first version in Stratford-upon-Avon. It's a British musical, or kind of British-ish. We'll talk about it in a moment. Then it premiered in London, on West End in 2011, and then on Broadway 2013. This is the first major musical composed and written, so it's music and lyrics, by Tim Minchin, and I hope you recognize Tim Minchin by now. He is a man of many talents. He's mostly Australian, but he's connected with Britain as well. That's why I say it's kind of partially British. An actor, writer, musician, comedian. He used to have a one-man show, and if you are not familiar with his concerts and his songs, absolutely, I strongly encourage you to look them up, especially my favorite song, probably entitled Taboo, which is just brilliant. If you don't know it, listen to it. I'll give you the link. I think it's brilliant. I will not do a spoiler because it's based on a very clever turn of action. If you read more of his songs, you will see that he's quite engaged politically, and he is quite interested in current issues. But he also appeared as actor. I hope most of you saw him as Judas in one of the recent stagings of Jesus Christ Superstar. He really did a great job as Judas. In recent years, he moved on to writing full musicals, and Matilda was definitely something that was received very, very well. Many important awards: Laurence Olivier Award for Best New Musical, and Tony Award for Best Book of a Musical. This musical is also based on a literary source, on a novel for children by a very prolific and interesting British author, Roald Dahl. The title was Matilda. The book is from the 1980s. There was a film version of the book, but it did not have the music in it. The idea of making it into a musical is, as I said, relatively recent, around not more than 10 years old. So the story again features a child protagonist, a young girl, a primary school girl, Matilda. In the novel and in the adaptation of and in the film adaptation of the novel, there is a lot made of the fantastic element in the book, because Matilda has the gift of telekinesis. She can actually move objects with the power of her mind. In the musical, it is there, but it's not given really such an importance as in the other versions of the story, which I think makes it even more interesting, because in the musical, it's really the power of spirit, the power of the willpower of Matilda, which is important, and not any of her supernatural gifts. She is a very bright young girl. who loves reading books, who loves learning, and this is really what makes her stand out in her family. Because, like Annie, Matilda is a kind of orphan. She's not, I would say, technically an orphan. She has the family, she has parents, but her parents neglect her. They are completely uninterested in her. And one of the first, or the very first scene in the musical has all the child protagonists, little children that Matilda will meet at school, singing how much they are loved by their parents. The song is entitled Miracle, and this is the way that most parents, or all parents except Matilda's parents, treat their children. They give them praise, they give them love, they give them encouragement. This is true for everybody except Matilda, who is a sweet, bright little girl, but her parents never wanted her. So she is neglected. They are, I would say, primitive people. They do not share her intellect, they do not share her intellectual interests, they are not interested in books. The mother is a ballroom dancing obsessed housewife. She just spends her time glued to television. And her husband, Mr. Wormwood, is a used car salesman who shares her television obsession. So they hate books, they just spend their days glued to the television screen. And Matilda, who is an avid reader, she cannot really live in this house, and she's very unhappy. They mock her, they discourage her, they humiliate her. So there is no physical abuse really, but I would say that the emotional neglect and this kind of emotional trauma is at least as harsh as in the life of the little orphans from Annie, because it comes from their own family, it comes from the people they are kind of conditioned to trust. So Matilda then goes to school. She's sent to school, so if she likes reading so much, she can learn. She's hopeful. She believes she can excel in school, but then again, she's met with very harsh treatment, and then again we have a very colorful villain in the person of the head teacher in the school, Miss Trunchbull, who is again a kind of over-the-top, rather grotesque character, not entirely dissimilar to Miss Hannigan. Miss Trunchbull is played by a man. This was something that you could perhaps remember from some of the musicals, a kind of comical female character played by a man actor. I would say possibly the nearest example would be in another high school musical, Hairspray. But this musical had a kind of nice motherly figure played by a man actor, and this woman, Miss Trunchbull, is really nasty. She is embittered. She had her hopes and her ambitions dismissed and neglected when she was younger. She apparently is a former athlete and a former world champion hammer thrower, which is a kind of funny thing in itself, and much is made of it, that she is a kind of masculine woman. This is played for laughs. There are no, I wouldn't say that there are any allusions to her sexual orientation or anything. This is not really a problem in this musical. She is a nasty, bullying, very brutal woman, and the fact that she's the former hammer thrower champion adds to her grotesque appearance. So she screams at the children, she bullies them, she actually comes up with some instruments of punishment which are more resembling of the instruments of torture. So this school is really a place from hell, like possibly, again, like the horrible workhouse that Oliver had to live in. But then again, there is one kind soul. The younger teacher, Miss Honey, the name suggests, is sweet and charming, and she takes interest in Matilda and her talent, and she becomes a tutor, a friend, and almost a mother figure to Matilda. So what we have, I strongly encourage you to watch the musical, or at least listen to the songs from the musical. What we have is the little girl with her talent and hopefulness and willpower, helping people around her, helping other mistreated children in the school, helping the sweet but rather helpless and bullied Miss Honey. So it all goes down to, basically speaking, to two songs. Again, there are many interesting songs here. There is one very interesting group number, When I Grow Up, with those little school kids singing about their dreams, about their hopes for the future, and Miss Honey, the teacher, joining in. So emotionally, she's still a child, and she dreams of what she would like to be when she grows up. And yes, you have to notice, she is grown up now, but she still dreams for the future when she grows up. So you might say that she really grows up thanks to Matilda and because of Matilda, because she has to stand up to Miss Trunchbull and protect the children, and especially protect Matilda. But Matilda has a way of protecting herself. One is her special gift, so if she's really, really mad, she can make objects fly into the air, or she actually kind of punishes Miss Trunchbull by using her power to write something on the blackboard with a piece of chalk. So Miss Trunchbull believes there is a ghost. But as I said, in the musical, it's not that crucial that Matilda has some superpowers. Her superpower is reading and thinking, and what she learns is expressed in two songs which are, I think, the most memorable numbers from the musical. One is Naughty, and another one is Revolting Children. I'll give you the link to a very good rendition of Revolting Children from the Tony Award Gala. And I would say that this is really what makes Matilda such an important and such a good musical for children. And if I had a child, I would go and see Matilda with that child. Because it teaches the child, through examples, that you do not need to be obedient. That you in fact shouldn't be obedient. You should think, you should use your mind to judge whether the adults deserve your trust, whether they deserve your good behavior. So if they don't, protect yourself. Find allies, or just don't be passive, don't be bullied. Don't let people bully you. This is really the message from Matilda, and she first comes to this bright conclusion on her own, and she decides, well, we all need to be naughty sometimes. And then in the end, she leads the other children when Miss Trunchbull bullies them again. She leads them to rebellion. So we have this big group anthem, very lively, with a lot of choreography and a lot of dancing, revolting children, playing on the kind of double meaning of the word revolting, which of course Miss Trunchbull uses to humiliate the children, that they are disgusting. They are revolting, which means they are disgusting. They are disobedient. They stand up to her bullying. So she tells them they are horrible, they are disgusting. But revolting also means rebellious. So the children take this insult and they say, yes, we are rebellious, and we are going to stand up for our rights. So we have this image of a downtrodden group of people, a little bit like in Les Miserables, standing up for their rights. So this major problem of Matilda is solved by the children themselves, with a little help of Miss Honey, and also the personal problems of Matilda are solved in a very unconventional way, because normally in a more, I would say, conventional musical, you would have Matilda reconcile with her family. And they say they are sorry and they are going to love her now, they are going to appreciate her now. No, it doesn't happen here. They actually give her up. They run away because, well, you'll see if you haven't seen it already. They get entangled in some problems with mafia, with Russian mafia. I won't spoil it for you, so but I need to do one spoiler. They give Matilda up, and she's adopted by Miss Honey. So you do not have to stick with your family if they are harmful to you. Find the people you care about. Make your own family. You can be as close with your chosen people, your friends, a teacher like this, as you would with your blood relations. This is something I would say very, very revolting and very unusual, and something that really makes Matilda important. Because this is a musical clearly for children and with child protagonists, and it does not support bending into the status quo. So it's just exactly the opposite as all those Disney musicals. They say, you are born a king, you just have to accept that you are born a king, or you are born a woman, you need to find a man to make you complete. This is, no, find your own people. If the blood relations are bullying you, if the teachers are humiliating you, change them or stand up to them, or basically this is the way to change something in your life. Change it yourself. So I leave you with this for now, and next week we have week 15, so something perhaps to round up the entire course, and I guess perhaps we might talk about the recent state-of-the-art So I would like you perhaps to see if you can find it, or at least to listen to the songs. And there are those amateur cartoons made to musical songs. If you don't know them, try to look them up. And there are beautiful cartoons made to this musical. And the musical is the 2019 winner of the Tony Award for Best Musical. The title is Hadestown, one word, Hadestown. A very interesting musical which will link to some of the subjects that we have discussed already. It links the 1930s in America. It links Greek mythology and a lot of interesting themes. And I have to admit, this is perhaps one of the musicals that really impressed me in the recent years. So Hadestown for once, and perhaps another musical made by a very successful team, the men behind La La Land. So the Oscar-winning film musical. But I wouldn't like you to see La La Land unless you want, of course, go ahead and see it. But see the second production, The Greatest Showman. So the film musical about 19th century American entrepreneur and entertainer P.T. Barnum with Hugh Jackman. This was the role that Hugh Jackman really wanted to play, and he really worked for a long time to have this film brought into fruition. And let's see how it works. So if you haven't seen this, please watch The Greatest Showman and watch Hadestown. And that's it for this week. Thank you.